afternoon. I would like to call this August 10th, 2023 meeting of the Monroe County Solid Waste Management District Board of Directors to order. And we'll begin with a roll call. We have, let's see, Dan Swafford.
Here.
Penny Githens.
Here.
Isabel Piedmont-Smith.
Here.
Jeff McKim. Here. And it looks like we have Julie Thomas on Zoom. Great.
Here.
Oh, and now we have Lee Jones here present in the room. No, that's okay. So we do have a quorum and one to spare even. So we can move forward. Let's see. We next have the Executive Committee meeting minutes from July 5th, 2023. That's in your packet. Does anybody, it's not a voting item, but does anybody have any comments or questions about the Executive Committee meeting minutes? Okay, seeing none, we then have the approval of the Board of Directors meeting minutes from July 13th, 2023. Does anybody have any corrections or comments about them that have not been already submitted? Okay. I'll entertain a motion for the approval.
I'll move approval of the Board of Directors meeting minutes of July 13th, 2023.
We have a motion?
Second.
Motion and a second. All right. We'll have to do a roll call vote because we're in hybrid mode.
McKim,
Yes?
Thomas,
Yes.
Githens,
Yes.
Piedmont Smith,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Swafford.
Abstain, I wasn't here.
Motion passes.
Thank you. All right, so now we'll move on to the controller's reports. We'll start out with cash flows. Ms. Martin.
The cash flow summary is on page 24 of your packet. The operating balance as of July 31st was $3,017,063.86. The July 31st balance in the savings account was zero. Since those two accounts earned at the same interest rate, the savings account balance was moved into the operating account. The July 31st balance for the closure bond debt was $21,106.96. The balance for the capital account was $45,609.90. The landfill post-closure account was $743,375.86. The individual cash flow statements for each of these are on pages 25 to 31 in your packet. What questions are there concerning the cash flows?
So just one thing, is it possible for TSD to turn up the volume a little bit from Zoom? Thank you. All right, so any questions on the cash flows? From the left? From the right? Yes.
Yes. I was wondering if you could tell us, Ms. Martin, how much longer do we have to pay down the closure bond debt account, and how close are we to wrapping that up?
I might have to defer to Tom on that one. I'm not 100% sure where we're at on that right now.
Off the top of my head, the last payment is due either August of 27 or February of 28.
Okay, so we have, let me just see here. So that's, was that a 20-year bond?
It was a 20-year bond, yes.
Yeah. August 20. And do you know how much there remains to pay off on that?
I apologize. Off the top of my head, I do not, but we can certainly get that information and distribute it to the board tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
I'd be happy to look that up.
Thank you.
And just for everybody's information, Gateway actually does provide a way of looking up pretty much any outstanding debt of any unit of government, and so you can actually, any member of the public can go to Gateway and look up the amortization schedule of any bond, which is kind of a nice tool if you want to watch the debts of your local units of government. All right, any other questions on cash flow? All right, so now we'll move to payroll and claims.
On page 32 of the packet, you have a total for the payroll and claims that were approved for the week of 7/24 in the amount of $138,383.65. Documentation for those claims follows in the packet on pages 33 to 40. Yesterday, I emailed you the claims that were paid this week in the amount of $66,724.45. That included claims that were pre-approved under Resolution 2022-02 of $17,133.35, payroll in the amount of $23,275.58, payroll claims of $10,751.15, longevity checks of $2,912.80, and the claims for board approval of $12,651.57. And included in that, just pointing out that in the claims for board approval, we did have a check that was to MCS Midwest, which is not on the approved vendor list. That was for repair of roll-off containers in the amount of $11,875, and that is a part of that board approval amount. That brings the total of all the payroll and claims that we are recommending for approval to $205,108.10. Questions on the claims?
Okay, let's see, are there questions from the right? Please.
Yes, it's, I noticed that we did have a payment to Connie Hudson, our former employee and now hired on as an hourly consultant for 65 hours. So I just wanted to hear how the transition is working as far as the office manager position. I think that there was there hiring done for that? Can you speak to that, Tom?
Yeah, we actually, it is noted in my department report in the packet. Kelly Mullis did accept the position of office manager and is scheduled to start this coming Monday, the 14th. Ms. Hudson has agreed to stay on. I guess not a definitive date yet, but at least through next week to help train and acclimate Ms. Mullis to the office and to the position. We've also had some discussions with Ms. Hudson about possibly coming back later in the year to help with year-end reconciliation and so forth with some of the year-end projects that Ms. Martin would not have done previously since she reassumed the position.
Okay, and we have enough funds in Category 1 to cover that? Or is it actually Category 3?
Well, yeah, it's actually coming out of the services category because she's under contract being paid as a consultant. At this point, we do believe there'll be funds available there to cover that. If not, there will be, because of the vacancies and so forth, there will be additional funds available in the personnel services category that could be moved to cover anything that we incurred with Ms. Hudson that couldn't be absorbed in the existing budget in that category.
All right, thank you.
Great, and hopefully everybody did receive that email. Are there any questions about payroll and claims from the left or from Zoom? Is Commissioner Thomas still on there? We lost the panelists.
I see her.
Yeah,
Oh, great. Okay, thank
I
you.
am.
Thank you.
No question.
Okay, great. So I will entertain a motion for the approval of payroll and claims.
Yes, I move approval of payroll and claims as outlined in the memo from Controller Kathy Martin yesterday, August 9th, 2023.
We have a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Great. Then we'll do a roll call vote.
Jones,
Yes.
Githens,
Yes.
Swafford,
Yes.
Thomas,
Yes,
McKim,
Yes.
Piedmont Smith.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. All right, so now we have, looks like 3 resolutions we're going to be asked to approve relevant to the 2024 budgets, the operating fund, debt service fund, and cumulative capital fund. Mr. McGuire.
Yeah, I'm going to share my screen briefly. if I get back to it. The some slight changes from what was presented at the last meeting, all on the revenue side. But since we had the July meeting, staff did have the budget workshop with DLGF, and that did result in some changes to our revenue, on the revenue side, taxes, predominantly. And that also did increase our deficit, as you can see on that screen, to $56,016. What we do, what was a decrease, the 31,110, the county property tax. We did do the 4% growth quotient, but also got from DLGF at the workshop the estimated property tax cap, the circuit breaker impact of that. So that number is decreased by $20,200, which is in essence the increase in the deficit. There was a slight reduction in the vehicle excise tax from what we originally proposed, and then a slight increase in the commercial vehicle excise tax from what was additionally proposed. But other than that, nothing in the proposed budget has changed from what you saw last month. At the board's pleasure, I would be happy to go through the presentation again, or in the essence of time, we can move on to more summary discussion and what we're asking the board to approve for 2024.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone here who would like to ask Mr. McGlasson to go through the presentation again? Okay, I'm not seeing anybody who wants you to do that. So looks like we've got 3 separate resolutions. So why don't we just introduce each of these resolutions?
We have, on record, we have 3 different budgets, the operating fund, the debt service fund, and the cumulative capital fund. So you have a resolution for each of those budgets in the packet. I will note, apologies, each resolution has the same error in it. I forgot the word "and" between the next to the last and the last whereas. That has been corrected in the copies I have up here for signature. Other than that, that is what the 3 resolutions are for those 3 separate budgets. I would note also, I did include in the packet the current Form 4B out of Gateway, showing where we have accounted for that circuit breaker impact and what we are asking for approval on.
Thank you. Okay, so why don't we introduce and discuss, if anybody has any questions, and then vote on each of these individually. So let's see, I entertain a motion for approval of Resolution 2023-11 for the operating fund.
Yes, I move approval of Resolution 2023-11, Monroe County Solid Waste Management District, 2024 operating budget.
With motion?
Second.
Motion and a second. Okay, so are there any questions or comments from the left? From the right? From Zoom?
No questions, but I cannot vote on this because I am remote. Thank you.
Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and do a roll call vote on the operating budget.
Piedmont Smith,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
McKim,
Yes.
Swafford,
Yes.
Githens.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Great. Okay, I'll do the same for 2023-12, the debt service.
Yes, I move approval of Resolution 2023-12, Monroe County Solid Waste Management District, 2024 debt service fund budget.
We have a motion?
Second.
Motion and a second. Thank you. Any comments or questions from the right? From the left? From Zoom? Okay.
No questions. Thank you.
And actually, I apologize. I should have taken public comment on the previous budget. So I'll take public comment here, and if you'd like to make public comment on the previous resolution as well. Are there any members of the public in the Nat U Hill room who'd like to make comment? Seeing none, are there any, is there anybody on Zoom who'd like to make public comment? Please raise your hand. Okay. Seeing none, then we will do a roll call vote.
Swafford,
Yes.
Githens,
Yes.
Piedmont Smith,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
McKim.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. All right, we will do the same thing for the exciting zero budget of 2023-13 cumulative capital fund.
I move approval of Resolution 2023-13, Monroe County Solid Waste Management District, 2024 Cumulative Capital Fund Budget.
Second.
Motion and a second. Let's see, any questions from the left? No comments? From the right? From Zoom?
No questions, thank you.
Thank you. Are there any public comment? Any members of the public who'd like to make comment? Seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote.
Jones,
Yes.
Piedmont Smith,
Yes.
Githens,
Yes.
McKim,
Yes.
Swafford.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much. All right, so that is the voting part of the agenda. Let's move on to the district rebranding update.
Just wanted to update the board on the status of our rebranding process. With note for the record, we have established a subcommittee that's been working on that, of which both Ms. Piedmont Smith and Mr. Winia are a part of, as well as some additional CAC and staff representatives. We're really starting to make some good progress now. We believe we have a logo that there's consensus and agreement on. We've identified the name that we like, and had some discussion on this at the executive committee meeting, and there was I guess consensus or a desire of the executive committee to pursue a January 1st rollout on that name. Also looking to do a full and legal name change with this rebranding. So there will be some additional steps involved to make proper notifications to various vendors and government agencies and entities that we would have to do that to, as well as with the Secretary of State of Indiana. We're taking the steps to move forward with that, and believe we'll be able to bring something back to the board in December for a January 1st rollout and finish this project up. And I
Terrific.
would invite Ms. Piedmont Smith or Mr. Winia to add anything they would like to those comments.
Mr. Winia? No. All right, are there any comments or questions from anybody on the board? All right, thank you very much. I'm very excited about this this direction we're moving in.
Yes, we are too. Thank you.
Great. The multi-dwelling complex composting pilot project.
As indicated in the packet, Mr. Winia from One Sustainable Joe will provide the board with an update on that project.
Good afternoon, members of the board. Joseph Winia here. I am glad to say that the program preparation is in its final stages. So that includes the full definition of the program structure, a fully constructed composting system, and a second set as inventory. There is signing, educational and training materials, plus outreach material for residents and property managers. There's a live website with the full program details, which you can find at onesustainablejoe.com, where one is the numeral. And so that's all of the program content that's ready. And I'm also pleased to say that we have a verbal commitment from the first participating apartment site for the program from management staff and staff, at the Woods at Latimer, which is an abodes property that's on South Claras Boulevard.
So what was the name again?
The Woods at Latimer is the name of the property, and abodes is the management company. So we are presently working to complete a formal agreement for the program, and we plan to make an initial announcement to the residents next week, followed by a sign-up survey for all of the residents a couple weeks after that, which will be on the 28th, and then with the goal to actually launch the first site by September 15th. So that will initiate the launch phase of the pilot program, which is the second step. And there will be, so there's one site fully operational, and then that will proceed into the search for additional candidate properties to essentially repeat the process and continue to find all 6 participants. As many as possible during the fall, but again with the possibility to continue in the spring with a winter break, given lack of capacity to do much composting or much, I think, interest in doing composting by residents and property managers during that period.
Fantastic.
So that concludes. I guess actually I have one more note. The name of the multi-dwelling complex composting pilot program is going by Back to Earth, where 2 is also the numeral. And you will
Great.
find
I
that
see
on the
that
website.
on your website.
Indeed, good. So that is actually all I have to report, but would still be happy to answer any questions that board members may have.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you. Any questions?
But
Ron.
congratulations on getting somebody signed up.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Sounds like a very positive movement forward. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Great. Thank you very much.
Yes.
And don't go too far because CAC report.
Indeed, I have that up next already, which is why I brought my entire laptop. So it's actually not terribly long. The primary thing that we worked on was submitting our comments to the board with respect to the 2024 proposed budget. And if there isn't opposition, I would like to read that to the board and into the record.
Please.
Okay, so dated for Monday, July 31st, 2023, dear members of the board, the Citizens Advisory Committee writes in support of the proposed 2024 budget as presented at the July 13th, 2023 regular board meeting. We are grateful to district staff for creating a responsibly adapted budget, and we are confident in the district's financial well-being. Further, we appreciate the board's desire to allocate resources to expand community food waste management programs. The CAC thanks you for considering the approval, and now actually approving, our supply funds request for the 2024 fiscal year, and for continuing to provide us the flexibility to submit allocation requests outside of the budget cycle. Respectfully, the Citizens Advisory Committee.
Great. Thank you very much. And thank you for your leadership on this CAC. And thanks for the service of all of the members.
Absolutely. We all, and I can speak for myself, and I think all the others appreciate your engagement with the CAC as well. It's been very fruitful and very satisfying work as well.
Thank you.
If if I may, I was remiss earlier. Those comments are provided in the packet on page 52 in front of Resolution 2023-11. So they were, as required by the statute, written comments were provided to the board prior to the vote on the budgets.
Thank you. Yes.
Can you remind me, Mr. Winnie, what the budget request was for outreach materials for the CAC for 2024?
Yes.
I can't see that it's called out in our budget proposal. It's probably
Okay.
in with other things.
It was $500 for services, I believe, general services, with the intent of trying to find methods for promotion of the CAC as an organization to increase outreach efforts in order to grow membership and visibility.
Mm-hmm.
So thinking about potentially personal wear or some type of visual representation for the CAC when it's doing outreach or volunteer type activities, particularly thinking of the county fair as well, if we're at a table for the district to also have CAC representation.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Winia? All right. Thank you very much, sir.
All right, absolutely.
All right. Now we'll move on to department reports.
As mentioned earlier, Kelly Mullis, our new office manager, will start on Monday, the 14th. We are continuing to work with Sean Mia in the city's Economic Sustainable Development Department on finding options to bring food waste compost collection back to the community. The biggest stumbling block is the lack of a local facility, to take that to. So, have initiated some inquiries with CBU about plans for the anaerobic digester, and if it were to move forward, if that facility would be willing to accept such material from an entity that was able to bring it in bulk. I know they wouldn't be interested in individual residents bringing 5-gallon buckets at a time, but if somebody was bringing a truckload of, a ton plus at a time, would that work for that facility? So still waiting to hear back from them on that. If that's not something that the facility could accept, or if CBU is not going to pursue the anaerobic digester, then we have to come back and look at, options for, how do we, whether publicly, privately, a public-private partnership, how do we establish a facility to accept that material, locally, to make, the collection and composting of that financially feasible. In the meantime, there are discussions of possibly subsidizing a program to allow it to get something going, and for a temporary period until we had a local option to take the material to. So it is something we are continuing to work at and try to find an options for. And the intent is to do something sooner than later to get the collection back up and running, so we don't lose the momentum that Earth Keepers got started. Also, did want to report, Ms. Procral's been working with Ms. Martinez Ruiz, the City of Bloomington's Latino Outreach Coordinator, on getting some of our literature and PSAs translated into Spanish. And might note there at the bottom of the first page in the memo, under the media summary, we do have, did get some PSAs done and recorded that are airing on WFHB's Hola Bloomington Spanish radio program. Also have our general flyer translated into Spanish and can be downloaded off the district's Facebook page. So are trying to expand our outreach in that way. And then beyond that, I don't know that I have anything else to report or highlight out of the report, but be happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Any questions? Okay. All right. Then I guess we'll move on to, Mr. Long.
Hi, everyone. I will start with the recycling and reuse. We hired 2 new truck drivers. Rick Serper was our former material handler, so he's moved up to a truck driver position. And we hired a new guy named Travis Wright. They both are learning really fast and beyond my expectations with what they're doing. So we will have the material handler job of Rick's to backfill, which we plan on doing that as soon as possible. The Green Business Network, we sent out letters introducing Kayla Strand as the new GBN point of contact. And we went ahead and used that as get Kayla's foot in the door at all these current businesses that we offer recycling to, so she can do waste reduction and make sure we're meeting all these businesses' needs with other recycling that maybe we haven't done in the past, or they started something new. So she's, definitely looking at doing waste reduction at each one of these, and we're getting feedback slowly on that, but we're about a third of the feedback from the businesses that we sent letters to. The hazardous materials, we're seeing a lot of batteries right now. If you walk into any store, you see something that has a rechargeable battery to it, which is great. I use them myself, but batteries go bad, so our guys are overwhelmed with batteries right now. And the sites, they're operating as normal. Everything's fine. If you guys have any questions, I will try to answer them.
Thank you. I do have a question, but I'll see first if anybody else does. Please.
Yeah, is the material for the arts program picking up steam since the school year has started?
Oh, yes. I've been over there, met with a couple of the teachers Mary had me to meet with, and I wish, I could show you guys stuff that they tell me, every day. Obviously I can't, but it's really nice hearing all the feedback from the people. We've even had a couple this week where they've been, we've saved extra stuff or went out of our way to do some stuff that we normally don't do to help them out. Brought some cookies into the staff. So that was really nice.
Awesome, thank you.
Nice. Oh, yeah, please.
Have we gotten either of the new trucks yet? That
Yes, we do have the, I guess, the smaller of the two, the 1500. It's here. We've also, and then got some lights added to it actually just this week. Some of the LED top bar and some strobes for safety when they're out on the roads doing the cleanups. But that is the truck that is, I guess, replacing what we historically have called our landfill truck. It will be used to assist with the environmental compliance stuff when needed, but that's not the primary vehicle that's going to be used for the compliance. That one we're expecting a mid to late October delivery on. Was the last report we got.
Question on the batteries. What?
Yes.
So refresh my memory. What types of batteries do we take?
We take alkaline batteries. We take nickel cadmium. We take nickel metal. We take lithium ion, plain lithium. We take lead acid. There is one other one. I mean, if it's a battery, we're going to take it. We also, so when we take them in, we take in roughly a couple 100 pounds of batteries a day, and we sort them by chemistry. And depending on what they are, we send out different ways. And DOT has a lot of laws and standards that we have to do. Some of them has to be taped individually or bagged up individually to be shipped. So, it's a process, but it's not too bad. But the lithium ion batteries right now is what we're seeing a lot of.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you. I didn't know that we were quite that expansive in the types of batteries.
I would note just that household batteries, we do take some of the automotive and marine batteries, but we are not in any way prepared or able to accept an electric car battery or a hybrid car battery, just for the record.
Yeah. Understood that. Okay. Thanks. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
All right. And Mr. Paulson.
Mr. Paulson is on vacation, but happy to fill in for him as best I can. You can see in the report, a lot of the regular monitoring and reporting been completed and submitted to item. I can note, since this report was prepared, we did get the groundwater, the May groundwater sampling report completed and submitted to item. They've not responded to it yet, but that has been submitted to them. And I think one other thing would note that's not in his report, but was on the claims that were approved earlier. We did have Anderson Excavating come out and work on some invasive species remediation for us in the past month, just in an effort to try to control that as best we can, out in that area. I know there are some neighbors that live in the area that are concerned about invasive species and allowing them to promulgate on the landfill property and expand into their property. So we do the best we can to keep that under control.
Great. Thank you. Any questions for Mr. McGlasson standing in for Mr. Paulson? All right. Seeing none, we will move on to public comment. This is on items that were not on our agenda. Are there any members of the public who would like, either in the room or on Zoom, who'd like to make public comment? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to comments from directors. Anybody from the left like to make a comment? From the right? Yes, please.
Yeah, just to say, I'm pleased that we have included $50,000 in our 2024 budget to spend on composting initiatives, and that we are pursuing different options in that area in collaboration with city government. So that's promising, and of course, additional appropriations may be made if we do decide it's wise to engage in a project along those lines. And also pleased to hear about the Spanish language outreach that Ms. Pocral has been doing, so we can get to more of our residents familiar with the programs and services provided by the district. So just glad to hear those things, and and pleased that the multifamily composting pilot is launching soon. So some good news this month. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, totally agree. And I also look forward to supporting the budget when it comes in front of the county council. All right. Any comments on Zoom from Commissioner Thomas? All right. Seeing none, we are adjourned. Thank you all.